It's a bird, it's a plane, it's supposed to stay in the water, but at speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour, these outboard tunnel boats can take flight at any time. From the 125cc hydroplane to the unlimited horsepower of the incredible Mod U's. They're all here today for round number 1 of the American Outboard Racing Association Triple Crown. So don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to beautiful Lake Lawne in sunny Orlando, Florida, for the first leg of the American Outboard Racing Association Triple Crown Series. Hi, I'm Jerry Harvey. Along with Johnny Beach, we'll be bringing you all of today's racing action. The American Outboard Racing Association is sponsoring 8 different classes of hydroplanes and 4 classes of OPCs. Those are the high-performance tunnel boats. We have a great afternoon of racing action in store for you today. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to beautiful Lake Lawne in sunny Orlando, Florida. As we are set to start this afternoon's event, let's check our course conditions. Track temperature is going to be 76 degrees approximately. Length 3/4 of a mile. Oval surface is smooth. The temperature out today, a beautiful 76 degrees, 60% humidity. Winds beautiful east-southeast 13 miles per hour, and the forecast is clear. And now the starting lineup for the SST 45s. Our first class up, the number 42, Sean Torrente, will lead them off, followed by the 31 of Edward Egan Jr. In third, the number 22 of Garrett Armstrong. Fourth, the number 94 of Paul Trollian. Starting fifth, the number 515 of William Hamill. Sixth, the number 24 of Edward Moran. Starting seventh, the 75 of Fred Rothman. Starting eighth, the 118 of Jose Mendana. Starting ninth, the 773 of Patrick Hesson. Starting 10th, the number 627 of Philip Emerson. Starting 11th, the number 237 of Joseph Varner. Starting 12th, the 45 of Chris Barbender. And rounding out the field, the number 30 of Larry Baldwin.
Barbender. Now they round that first turn and start down this back stretch. And right now, Sean Torrentes is setting the pace in that beautiful entry number 42, rather, and he is the man to beat. He's been on top all weekend. They've done their homework, and I know he's talking with his crew chief, Willie Torrentes, and they got a game plan, and it's been successful for him right now.
Well, Johnny, I tell you what, you're right. Sean Torrente definitely setting the pace out on the front side. He's going to have the 22 of Garrett Armstrong right behind him. Putting on the pressure in the third spot is going to be Barbender. And look at this. Here comes the 31 of Ed Egan. Egan puts some serious pressure on as he moves up, along with the 515 boat of William Hamill out of Indian Harbor, Florida.
Well, it's anybody's race right now this early in, because they've got to do 5 laps here, or 15 laps rather. And, you know, a lot of things can happen in powerboat racing. They usually do. A motor can go down, a prop can break, or, you know, anything can happen. Electrical shortage. And it's not happening at this time for Willie Torrentes, or Sean Torrentes, as he comes around. There's the 22 entry, like I say, of Garrett Armstrong, all the way down from Heartland, Wisconsin, to race with us.
Well, you've got a race going on right now. Looks like it's going to be the number 42 putting some pressure on the outside. Here comes a good run, 3 wide. The number 94 on the inside is going to be Trollian out of Sarasota, and he has got all kinds of heat on his outside as he enters into turn number 1.
Well, you know, you're right. He ran real good in his qualifying heat yesterday, and we knew he was going to be a threat to reckon with for these other drivers. But once again, there's that number 42 as he comes across the start-finish line. put yet another lap into the record books. Sean Torrente out of Miami, Florida.
Well, Torrente still setting a blistering pace out here at Lake Lawne and Barnett Park down here in Orlando, Florida, Central Florida. And this is the first leg of the Triple Crown as Torrente sets the pace, but he has some competition coming up behind him. Torrente still holding on to his lead as he rounds the mark in turn number 4, and he will get a lap boat now on the inside. That is going to be 627 of Emerson. Torrente stretching the lead out on the number 22 boat of Garrett Armstrong. Armstrong out of Heartland, Wisconsin, all the way down here to Orlando.
And of course, Chris Barbender from Comac, New York is right there, and he is in the thick of things. So here again, as we were saying earlier, Jerry, this could be anybody's race. It does look like the number 22 entry has got a very comfortable second position, Garrett Armstrong, and he's just sitting there waiting.
How about that number 30 of Larry Baldwin, Lake Wales resident. Baldwin putting on a whale of a show out here for us here this afternoon.
That's true. That's the Associated Electric sponsored entry, and he's carrying the banner well for them.
Here comes the number 31 as he goes by. That is going to be Egan. He puts the pressure on along with the 24 of Moran, and the 515 setting them on fire is going to be William Hamill.
Well, they continue this pace, and they are setting a blistering pace. And of course, Jerry, you know, as more laps come into the record book, the water gets a little bit rougher, their fuel load gets a little lighter, and the driver is getting a little more tired, if you will, of concentrating so hard on keeping the boat in the right condition. So it gets to be more of a challenging race later in the later laps as it comes down towards the finish. I believe we've got about 5 laps to go now, and it still could be anybody's race. However, John Torrente's out of Miami, and that beautiful entry of his continues to lead. The number 42, and he has led from the get-go, so let's just hang on and see if he can maintain that lead.
Torrente holding that first place position. The 22 now running in second, I believe, is going to be Garrett Armstrong. And Armstrong now entering turn number 4. He comes out strong. Here comes the 22 of Armstrong across the start-finish line, running back in the 3rd spot. I believe that'll be the number 30 of Baldwin, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're correct there, Jerry. You know, they start to switch positions here sometimes, and the faster boats are passing the back markers now, so you really have to keep up with who's where.
Look at this, a problem with the number 42 boat. Out in the center, Chris Barbender, or excuse me, the 42 boat of Sean Torrente, your leader, is out of the race.
He definitely has pulled the infield, and the cockpit canopy has come open. I don't know what has happened. I see his motor's trimmed out a tremendous amount. I don't know if he had lost some power or if his trim, you know, stuck out, which he certainly can't run with that much trim on it into the wind. But that's a great break for that number 2 entry.
Well, it looks like the 22 of Armstrong is going to take the point now. That is the Baker Marine Pavlik Race Boats DeWalt Propellers entry. Armstrong, in 1991 SST 45 world champion. In 1994, he was the national champion, I believe, for SST 45.
Well, he's going fast right now, passing at number 75 of Fast Freddie Rothman out of Miami, Florida. And Armstrong's running to the outside. You know, on this type of race course, the outside boat has the further way to go, so he's got about average a little over 3 miles an hour faster than the boat that he's overtaking on the inside. And right now, like you say, the man out of Heartland, Wisconsin is setting the pace. And I know he did breathe a sigh. We've got a cowling that went into the air right here on the front stretch.
Looks like the number 94 lost his cowling. That is going to be Paul Trollian out of Sarasota. And it is now loose on the course, and that could be a problem. Here comes the 627 and the 22. They go by it, but you got a cowling now floating out on the race course.
Well, thank goodness it has flotation in it, and it's floating high enough. I believe these drivers can see it. You know, the race goes on, and of course, when that cowling came off of Paul Trollin's boat, that changes the aerodynamics completely in that boat, because the air can flow through the tunnel area in there, and it makes the boat a little harder to handle, and it will actually knock off about 3 miles an hour off his top end speed. So let's just see what drastic effect that has on him. Hopefully, you know, he's not going to be challenged for a position at this point.
All right, well, here comes the 118 boat and that is going to be Jose Mendana out of Miami, Florida. Mendana putting on a great show out here for us this afternoon.
Oh, he's definitely doing that. You know, these guys in these SST 45s are so dedicated to this class of boat racing, and the boats are just beautiful. As you can see, you know, on the screen, they are just gorgeous boats out here, and there's a lot of man-hours that go into these boats.
Well, the 22 still holding on to the top spot is going to be Garrett Armstrong out of Heartland, Wisconsin, as he has almost catching the edge of that cowling there belonging to the Sarasota driver.
Trolling.
That's Trollian.
Now, also, I've noticed 75, Freddie Rothman pulled to the infield, and, of course, he's given up a lap now, but it looks like he's back under power and can get back out onto the race course. You know, Paul, an interesting thing, or Jerry, rather, an interesting thing that we discussed, you coming from the asphalt series in stock car racing, you know, the drivers set into a groove, and they try to run that same groove. We're out here on this type of racetrack, no 100 feet of any lap is the same, so it's a constant change for the driver, you know, as he goes around this race course.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. We talked about that quite a bit yesterday, and right now Garrett Armstrong seems to have it pretty well figured out as he continues to set the pace out here today, but the wind changes, the water changes, the farther back you go in the pack, or as you start to lap boats, even if you're the lead dog, you start to catch up with the rest of the field, and you're going to have a changing condition that you'll have to adjust. And the wind, of course, a very heavy factor here with hydroplane racing. As you can see him, look at that number 30 going past the start and finish line right now. That is going to be Larry Baldwin out of Lake Wales, and he has that boat trimmed out nicely, but he is just about to go down a lap as the 22 of Garrett Armstrong takes him over. He takes it over going back into turn number 1, and he'll start to lap the field. We talked about that. Look at Armstrong go. He has that boat riding on a rail. He has got it hooked up, as we'd say in the stock car business.
Yes, he does, and he's in the process of running past Chris Barbender out of Comic, New York. Now, as you said, as you take over the back markers, the water conditions get tough. We're on the final lap coming down, and we see the checkered flag flying now for that number 22 entry, Barnett Armstrong from Heartland, Wisconsin. So Garrett will get to take home the trophy this afternoon.
And it looks like maybe, I don't know, maybe the number 30 of Baldwin might have pulled in the second place finish. I'm not sure about it. Yeah, we'll get the official finish up here very quickly from scoring, but no doubt about it, the 22 of Garrett Armstrong out of Heartland, Wisconsin, driving the Baker Marine Pavlik race boats. DeWalt Propellers SST 45 will take home the checkered flag. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our winner is already headed down to the pits as the rest of the field comes around to take the checkered flag. Coming out of turn number 4 right now, the number 30 boat of Larry Baldwin out of Lake Wales, Florida. And he will take it to the stripe as he picks up the checkered flag in his machine and heads on down into the wet pits. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the SST 45 division. Let's check those official results. Your winner, the number 22 of Garrett Armstrong. Second was Edward Egan Jr. Third, Edward Moran. Fourth, William Hamill. Fifth, Paul Trollian. Finishing in sixth, Jose Mendana. Finishing seventh, Chris Barbender. Finishing eighth, Joseph Varner. Finishing ninth, Patrick Hessen. Rounding out the field, the number finishing 10th is Larry Baldwin in the number 30 boat. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a great place to stop and take a break. A little commercial message. Don't go away. We'll be right back to Orlando, Florida. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to sunny Orlando, Florida. We're here at Lake Lane at Barnett Park for the American Outboard Racing Association round number 1, the OSY 400 class. The boat starting first is the number 20 boat of Deborah Eldridge Galata out of Savannah, Georgia. Starting second was the 28 of Brian Burkhart out of Rockledge, Florida. Starting third, the number 80 boat of Steve Stell out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Starting fourth, the 927 boat of Bruce Burton out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Starting fifth would be the number 12 of Howard Clark out of Polk City, Florida. Starting sixth, the number 72 of Robert Pontek out of Jensen, Florida. Starting seventh, The number 13 of Harry Pinner Jr. out of Lake Worth, Florida. Starting 8th, the 1Z boat of Richie Wilcox from Greensboro, North Carolina. And rounding out the field, the number 23 of Charles Dogie out of Sarasota, Florida. And we are under the green flag. Your lead boat coming out of turn number 4, heading back to the stripe. Let's check them out here. It's a drag race to the line. It'll be the number 20 of Deborah Eldridge Galata. She'll be running in second. It looks like the 28 of Brian Burkhart. We'll watch the monitor here in front of us, and we've got a race going on for first as the young lady, Deborah Eldridge Galata out of Savannah, Georgia, tries to reel in your leader here. And a good race going on. That is going to be the 28 boat of Brian Burkhart out of Rockledge, Florida. Burkhart holding on to the lead as he rounds through turn number 4, and he is hooked up. Look at this guy fly. He is running on the 3rd lap. That is going to be the number 28F of Burkhart. Burkhart holding on. We got one outside now. That is going to be Deborah, the number 20 of Deborah Eldridge Galata, and she is definitely off the mark. That'll make her drop out of the running. It is still going to be the 28 of Burkhart out of Rockhead. Burkhart holding on to a big lead now as he has stretched it way out. He's all by himself. The racing going on is definitely back in 2nd and 3rd, as it looks like Burkhart is getting ready to put a boat down as he enters into turn number 4. We're on lap number 4, and the white flag will be coming out momentarily. Right now it's going to be the 13 and the 72. The 72 boat of Contact, the last boat on the lead lap. Here comes your leader, the 28F boat of Brian Burkhart out of Rockledge. As he goes across the start finish, the 23 boat running in 2nd is Dogie out of Sarasota. And running in 3rd, the 80 boat is going to be Steve Stella out of Fort Lauderdale, your 4th place boat. Coming by the start-stop line is going to be the 927 of Bruce Burton, hailing from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Looking at the screen now, the number 72 boat of Contact out of Jensen, Florida. Jensen, Florida resident, Robert Contact. On the screen now is going to be the number 28 of Burkhart. Burkhart still holding on to that big lead. He is just about to get into some lap traffic as he comes out of turn 4, and he goes to the checkered flag, and it will be your winner, Brian Burkhart out of Rockledge, Florida. Now let's check our official results. Burkhart the winner, finishing 2nd, Charles Dogie, finishing 3rd, Stephen Stella, finishing 4th is Bruce Burton, and finishing 5th, Howard Clark. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the end of the OSY 400 is a great place to take a break for commercial messages. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Well, welcome back. And right now we have got the 250cc hydro. Jerry, let's go with it and see what you think.
Well, today we have David Weaver in the Z1. The F6 is David Mitchell. The F4 is David Eldridge. The F11 is Marshall Eldridge, and they are out on a hot lap getting warmed up before the green flag. The F14 today will be Doug Bankford. The F18 will be William Miller. The F33 is going to be Robert Erbel. The F40C, Frank Milner. The F81 is Bud McDonald. The 220 is Pete Helston, and the 888 is Paul Hooten. And they are on their hot lap. This time by, they will take a green flag. Looks like the number V14 of Doug Bankert out of Springfield, Illinois will be the man who will take the green flag. He has set himself up for the lead. It is going to be Bankert in the V14 out in front. He'll have the number 33 of Erbel right behind him. Then running in 3rd spot, it'll be David Eldridge. Eldridge holding on to that 3rd spot as we've got a tight race coming through the turn. Out in front, it's still going to be the number 14 of Doug Bankert. Bankert, your leader, out in front. And looks like a good race coming out of turn number two, or excuse me, out of turn number two. A hot race going on back there in the field a little bit farther, but it's all out front. Here's a whole cluster of them now coming out of turn number four. It's going to be Bankert, your leader. He has got the 33 on him like a dirty shirt. That is going to be Herbal. Herbal slides by on the outside. He has a lap boat in front of him. Let's see if Herbal can make the turn through turns 1 and 2. It's going to be Bankert, and Bankert has that inside line, making it work for him as he goes through turns 1 and 2. It is going to be Bankert. He comes out back on the top as Herbal now on the outside. Look at that number 33 boat fly as he heads down the front straight. It is going to be Herbal in the second place, trying to reel in the number V14 of Doug Bankert. Robert Herbal out of Citra, Florida. On the outside, he has a little tough competition coming on the inside, and that is going to be the number 4 boat has moved up of David Eldridge. Eldridge now running in the second spot. Look at that number 33 of Eldridge. I'm still holding on the number 14 out in front, and all kinds of traffic coming out of turn number 1 and 2 as Herbal and Eldridge. It's going to be the 14 of Bankert, and here comes the competition. The F4 of David Eldridge as they are eyeball to eyeball, heading into turn number 3 and 4. Bankert out of Illinois. Herbal out of Citra, Florida, as they are side by side. Herbal wide. Bankert now takes control, followed by the 4 of Eldridge. It'll be Bankert and Eldridge doing it 1 and 2. Bankert and Eldridge, your 2 leaders. The field taking the white flag now. This time by, it's going to be a checkered flag lap. The white flag is out, and the race is still between Bankert and Eldridge. Let's see what happens as we come to the checkered flag this time around. The white flag is out. Here comes the checkered. Let's see who it's going to be. Coming to the checkered flag first, it's going to be the F4 of David Eldridge. Eldridge will take the checker first, and look at this. Here comes the 220. He'll get by that. It's going to be Helston. And how about the action here is Doug Bankert. Your leader is dead in the water coming out of turn number 4, and he throws his hands up in frustration. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll conclude the 250cc hydroplanes. Let's check our official results. Your winner, David Eldridge. In second is Pete Helston. In third, David Mitchell. Finishing fourth, William Miller III. Finishing fifth, Paul Hooten. Finishing sixth is Marshall Eldridge, and rounding out the field is David Weaver. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break for just a moment. Don't anyone go away. We'll be right back to Barnett Park in Orlando, Florida.
Welcome back to Lake Lawne in Barnett Park here in beautiful Orlando, Florida. The weather's gorgeous. There's been a lot of racing going on, and right now the SST 60s and Formula Vs are coming onto the race course, and they'll come around and pick up the flag for a start. Right now it looks like it's the 144 John Henson out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It leads them down to turn 3. Now, we're running 2 types of boats here. You heard us say the V. The lead boat you see right coming off of 4 now is a V-bottom well in it. Right behind him is Andy Engelmeyer at number 271 and the 112 of Chris Alsonot out of Big Pine Key, Florida. Those are tunnel boats. The V-bottoms have a small pad on the bottom of them back towards the transom, approximately 6 inches wide and 18 inches long. These drivers try to hang them on the pad, if you will. Watching at number 144 of John Henson go down the back stretch and set it into the turn, you'll see him start to bounce a little bit as he comes through the turn and onto the V. Now his job is to go ahead and hook it up and hang it on the pad. All right, right there next to him, following him, is the number 112, Chris Alsonot out of Big Pine Key, Florida. and the 271 of Andy Engelmeyer from Miami, Florida, both tunnel boats. You can see them going by, and they are starting to spread out just a little bit. Right now, we may have a challenge for second place between the number 112 and the 271 of Andy Engelmeyer. Right now, the lee bottom is showing them the way around this race course. That's the number 144. Again, John Hanson out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But we're getting a tremendous bunch up here for second, third, and fourth place. The lady, Carol Reno, out of Okeechobee, Florida, in the white boat working to the inside. Just outside of her is that 196 of Jeff Reno, her husband. And they are really tightening up off of turn 2 and down the back stretch. 144. John Hanson is setting a blistering pace out there, but the race is going on back there between the 112, the 271, the 96, and the 641. Round and round they go, and we got to remember this is 15 laps of feature heat right now. .44 continues his lead down the back stretch, but the real race is right there between turns 1 and 2, and now into the back stretch. 144 off of turn 4 again, coming down the chute, and he's putting laps into the record book. He's clearly out there by himself, no challenge. Here's your race for the 112 and the 271, the 196 and the 165. That's an interesting note because right there you have a husband and wife out of Okeechobee, Florida, same class, and they pull their own wrenches, if you will. A lot of excitement. Oh, we got them bunching up down off turn 2. The 271 just got wet down. His motor's sputtering, but looks like he's going to come back up on plane, giving away a lot of real estate. In fact, that moved Jeff Reno in the 196 into third place, and Carol Reno in the 164 into fourth place.
Call the race.
Now, here's your race. 144 continues his lead, but let's look at this husband and wife race in turns 1 and 2. Jeff Reno is stretched out by about 3 boat lengths over his wife, Carol Reno, both out of Okeechobee, Florida. And they're setting sail after the 112 of Chris Alzanaut out of Big Pine Key, Florida. Andy Engelmeyer that got wet down, he was running a strong second, and 271 now is sitting 4th. Well, I backed up, he's sitting 5th now as the race up. And following him is the 113 entry out of Miami, Florida, and that boat used to belong to a man by the name of John Brown, who was killed in a job-related accident, and it's so good to see that boat back out on the race course because it is a strong competitor. Then we've got the 27 out of Jacksonville, Florida, Ernie Brown, and he is going. We've got the 112 of Chris Alzanaut out of Big Pine Key, Florida, has gone dead to water between turns 3 and 4. The flags are up on the patrol boats. They signal the fact that there is danger on the course. Continue your race, but be aware of that. All right, Chris Alzanaut has gotten his boat back up. He has gotten it back up. He's given away a lot of position. But he's a never-say-die competitor, and it looks like he's having trim problems. Right there, the 144 backside, and he's going to die on the front stretch. A tough, tough break for this young man out of Big Pine Key, Florida. Other drivers, now we see Ernie Brown, Mr. Bowie. He went back up and picked it up, and he's running down this front stretch, too. All right. The 165 entry is a young lady named Carol Reno out of Okeechobee, Florida. She and her husband, Jeff, who's in the 196, own a welding business as well as an engraving and trophy shop over there. They have stage races. They've been a big integral part of OPC racing for years. Jeff has stepped up also, and you'll see him later today in the 120 class. You'll see Carol is actually giving him a rough run there. they pick their own props and they do their own work. So it's not like we'll let the wife win today or the husband will win, you know, whatever. It is cutthroat between the two on the race course. Meanwhile, back to your leader, the 144, the V-bottom of John Hanson from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, continues to lead. And as he's running right there with 10 laps down, 5 to go. There goes Carol Reno by, and we see that Chris Aldenot is still trying to get that boat up on course. There's 196 on the outside. That's Jeff Reno, and of course the 144 of John Hanson continues to lead. He's kind of out there all by himself, but looks like he's backed off a little bit now. And here comes Reno. He's on the outside. Off of turn 4 they come. Hanson working the short way around the race course. Reno the long way to the outside. Reno has slipped up into second place now, and Carol Reno is running third to 271 of Andy Engelmeyer out of Miami, Florida. Moved up into fourth, along with the 113 of David Francie, another tunnel entry. Tonight, the 144 continues his run down the backstretch, and I see now that poor old Chris Engelmeyer, that number 112, is running outside, trying to stay up. He wants to pick up any points he can with the finish, but he's being a good sportsman and staying out of the way of the competitive race boats on the course this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, if you watch the water, you see that it is picking up a little bit of chop. That is due to the wake of the boat. Fuel load gets lighter, drivers get a little more tired, and so it becomes more of a concentration race as deeper into this race it goes. Right now, we should be coming down to no more than about 3 laps left, and we'll just have to wait and see. Off of turn 4 comes your leader. But hot on his heels and working him to the outside is Jeff Reno. Now, Carol Reno, we've got a race going. She is pulled to the inside, running the short way. She's starting to move up. And there's the 271 of Andy Engelmeyer. He's moving up. Now we're down into turns 1 and 2, and as you can see, they are bunched up. It's still anybody's race. Jeff is sitting on the hip of that 144, and he's just waiting for him to make a mistake. But he's got to watch out because that beautiful white boat, the number 165, is Miss Carol Reno. And she's moving up too, along with Andy Engelmeyer. The white flag is out. As they come down and across this start-finish line, that'll show 1 lap to go to the man who's led it from wire to wire, the number 144, John Hanson. Running second, the 196 of Jeff Reno, the 165 of Carol Reno, and the 271 of Andy Engelmeyer. The 113 of David Francie comes across. All right, there's your race down the backstretch. And this is a do-or-die situation for everybody looking for positions and points in this heat. Less than a quarter of a lap to go. Reno pulls up on the outside of John Hanson right now. Hanson keeps it in close to the pins, carries Reno outside a little bit, makes up some running room. And ladies and gentlemen, the checkered flag is flying for that beautiful 144 AV bottom out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Mr. John Hanson. That gives Jeff Reno and the number 196 out of Okeechobee a second-place finish unofficially. In the 165 would be Carol Reno, also out of Okeechobee, and Andy Engelmeyer in the 271. The flag is up, and they are returning to the pit. This is a good time. Let's go to a commercial break.
I'm here with John Hanson, the winner of the last race in the Formula B division. And John tells me he's a part-time racer, but he didn't race like that today. He pulled out all the stops and got the victory. Tell me, John, what gave you the edge today?
Acceleration. I was probably the slowest boat, but the quickest one to the turn. Quickest one out of the turn.
We heard a lot of talk yesterday about the different racers using different size props. Did you use What particular prop did you use today?
I use a Titus performance propeller.
Okay.
I work closely with Jeff. He's one of the best in the country. I get a lot of personal service, and it makes a difference.
How many races have you done this year?
This is the first race this
year.
year.
This is your first race, so you come out of the box with the win.
Gentlemen, to sunny Orlando, Florida. Beautiful Lake Lawne in Barnett Park for the American Outboard Racing Association round number 1 of the Triple Crown. 3 races. We have the A-Stock hydroplanes coming up for their feature event. Paul Trollian, Pete Kelly, Keegan Bernard, Sharon Trollian, Derek Wartwig, and Brad Walker are the participants. Right now they are on a hot lap. They are bringing their boats up to speed, getting those motors tuned out. They are racing right now for their actual green flag position. When they come back around out of turns 3 and 4, they will come back to the start and finish line. They will take the green flag, and a 5-lap feature event for the A-Stock hydroplanes will be underway. Right now it looks like the number 46 maybe of Wartwig out on front. He looks like he's in the best position. We'll try and get a fix on that number. And coming out of turn number 4, your race is ready to get underway. That is going to be the 46 of David Wartwig out of Clearwater, Florida. That's going to be the 8, excuse me. That is Pete Kelly out of Lakeland, Florida. He will lead them around. In second is going to be Keegan Berner out of Cape Coral. He's in second. Third will be the 43 of Sharon Trollian. Fourth, the 46 of Wartwig. Fifth, the 1F of Paul Trollian. And rounding out the field, the 11 is going to be Brad Walker out of St. Augustine, Florida. That will be the way the 6 boats line up. Out in front, it is the number 8F. Pete Kelly out of Lakeland, Florida. He's a 3rd-year racing. He married into the sport, and he loves it. Racing his A-Stock hydroplane. Pete Kelly leading the field, and quite a large lead over second place, but right now it is all Pete Kelly as he gets back to the start-finish line, and he will complete lap number 1 as your leader. Pete Kelly heading down into turn 1, your second-place boat now coming across the start-finish, the 32F, and that is going to be Keegan Berner running in fourth. Third, rather, is the 43 of Sharon Trollian. Then Paul Trollian follows her along, a race for the last place position between Wartwig and Walker. But up front, it is all the number 34 of Keegan Berner. Keegan way out in front. Keegan now running a little bit farther back. Keegan laying down. You see him gripping that throttle. That's called a dead man throttle. He is leaning over the side of that boat. Right now we got the number 11 of Brad Walker. He does battle with Derek Wartwig in the number 46, but it is Brad Walker. They are running back in the field, trying to sort themselves out for about 6th and 7th, about 6th position. A good battle between Wartwig and Walker as they come out of turn 4 and they head to the start-finish line. That's going to be Trollian and the 43 of Sharon. Paul and Sharon doing battle. It looks like Sharon, the 43 boat, out on the front side of this one. We'll try and check them out as they head in through turns 1 and 2. And there is the battle. The 43 boat of Sharon Trollian takes it over. Sharon Trollian getting the job done as she hops out in front of, it looks like the number 1 of Paul Trollian. That is her brother. Here comes Paul now. Back up on her as we go into turn number 3. It's still, that is the battle for 3rd and 4th. Sharon and Paul battling back and forth. They come out of turn 4. They're sideways. Here comes the 32 of Berner, but here is your 1 lap to go flag, the 43 of Sharon Trollian now running back in the 2nd position, I believe, or 3rd position, excuse me, running back in 3rd position. Now heading down into turn number 1. Let's check them out, the 11F. And that is Brad Walker. He hails out of St. Augustine, Florida. And he is laying over left side weight. Talk about left side weight. And look at that. He lays it down. You can barely see over the front end of that boat, trying to cut all the air down as much as he can and try and gain a little bit of position as Brad Walker out of St. Augustine, Florida, leans heavy into turn number 3, and he is on the jammy. This guy is trying to gain a little bit of position. You see him shoot way to the outside coming out of the turn. And here comes your race now between Sharon Excuse me, Paul and Sharon. Paul Trollian takes the checker in ahead of Sharon, and then the 11 of Walker finishes in behind Sharon as they take them down to the finish line. What a great race as they head down into the pits.
Oh, that was a beautiful race, Jerry, and I tell you what, there was a lot of competition. There was racing all over the course out there just then. And, you know, whether it's brother and sister or husband and wife or father and son.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take this opportunity to go to commercial break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Lake Lawne in the beautiful Barnett Park area, downtown Orlando. And you're here live with us for the first leg of the Triple Crown Powerboat Regatta. We've had a lot of exciting information going on this far into the day. It's going real smooth. And right now, we're ready to come onto the water with the 350cc hydros. And they are the bumblebees. As you can hear them, they run the expansion pipes on the motors. And there is the F-222. That's Chris Helston out of Orlando, Florida, that brings them down on this lap. When they come around, they will pick up a green flag next time around, and we'll go racing for 5 laps. These are highly modified engines, ladies and gentlemen, and as you can see, the size of the driver, the size of the boat, and then the size of the motor. The motors are little bitty things, but boy, do they produce the horsepower, and that generates into a lot of speed on the straightaway. As you watch your TV screen, you'll see them in the turns, and you'll see how they actually use body English in these boats. In a turn, they will lean to the inside. Into the wind, they will lean forward over the steering wheel, and downwind, they will tend to lean and shift their weight to the back of the boat to get it up. Coming off a turn, you see how they glide. Now, you will notice as these boats go into a turn, a big wall of water coming up off of the right side, or the left side, excuse me. And that is the skid fin. When they go into a turn, there's that wall of water that we're talking about. Now, as he straightens out, you'll see it the Mini and the rooster tail will come up. We've got one that's struggling on the backstretch right now. I believe that's Roy Conklin. He's been around for a long time out of Port Richey, Florida. This is number 7 entry. The number 222, Chris Helston out of Orlando, Florida, on board the Babcock racing entry. And what a way he's doing. The second place boat right now is the F6 of David Mitchell out of Brunswick, Georgia.
This is second. This is third.
Okay, Diana Murray out of Northcott, New York is second, and David Mitchell is actually third. Diane Murray, right now, she's on that long back stretch, but she's being challenged as she sets her boat up into turn 3 and into 4. You see the competition behind her. He's bouncing. He's trying to go inside. Now, she's giving away a lot of real estate there, and you saw that number 88 entry of David Hooton drift out. That forced her to cross the wake, and that slows them down anytime for David Mitchell. There's the Battery Plus entry, the F2, which is Harry Penner going by. Well, let's look at our leader. In that Babcock home furnishing entry, the number 222 of Chris Helston out of Orlando, Florida. The white flag is out. That means he's got one more time to go. And this is when they start hearing gremlins. Is that motor slowing down? Is that a strange looseness in my steering? You know, is my pipe backing off? All kinds of things go through their mind. Gosh, I hope I can keep this thing running for less than a half lap. But right now, at the speed that Chris Helston is accomplishing, he's flying. He's careful. He sets his boat into 3. Now he sets it into 4. He'll drift the boat off wide, looking over his shoulder. He sees he's got running room, and he'll bring it down. And the checkered flag is flying for the number F222, Chris Helston out of Orlando. David Hooton with the 88 entry with a second, and then David Mitchell out of Brunswick, Georgia. No, I stand corrected on that. That's Dinah Murray out of Northcott, New York, with the 4th. Or 3rd, rather. And David Mitchell with the 4th. Boy, I tell you what, right now there's so much excitement going on. These drivers hate to go, but as they go down to the wet pits again, right there, the number 222 of Chris Helston, he's being greeted by his wife and, of course, his pit crew right there. He takes his helmet off, and what a race he's done. You know he's got to be proud, and the Badcock people have got to be very proud of him also. That's Chris Helston, the winner of the 350cc hydroplanes. This sounds like an excellent time to take a break while we've got a lull in the action.
I'm here with Chris Helston, the winner of the last race. Chris, you got out there real quick and held on. What do you feel was the advantage today?
Well, I figured with the short, tight course that it was going to be real advantageous to get out front, because after a couple laps go by, the corners start getting a little choppy, and if you can get out front in the good water, it's going to be hard for somebody to pass on something like this.
Did you use a special prop for this course?
Actually, I did. I watched some people test on Friday, and I decided I better go down on the wheel I used, and looks like I made the right pick.
Right pick. There you have it, right prop, right winner.
And this is the 125cc hydroplane feature event. The F8 is Peter Kelly, the F10 Buddy Smith, the 14 is Nick Thompson, the V14 Doug Vankler, the F22 is Frank Milner, the F40 is Buddy Tennell, the F51 is Terry Cantu, the F83 John McCorvey, and the 220 is Pete Helstein. Rogers. And they are taking their practice lap, ready to go to the green flag this time around. And the last boat of the heat lap is done. And we're ready to go green flag racing with the F40. And that is going to be Buddy Tennell out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. He'll take the point. Tennell gets across the stripe first. He will be your leader. Let's check our second place boat out. That is going to be the F8 of Peter Kelly. There's going to be Tennell and Kelly, followed by the 14 of Bangworth and the 220 of Helstein. Heading down into turn number 1, it is going to be the F8 of Peter Kelly. Kelly running in the lead spot out here. Pete Kelly out of Lakeland, Florida, leads the pack, and he is setting the pace here this afternoon. The F8 of Pete Kelly putting the pressure on as he goes into. Here comes your leader. That's the number 40 is your leader, Buddy Tennell. Pete Kelly running second. Okay, it is going to be Kelly in second. He comes around turn number 4. He's back to the stripe. He is running into second position, running in third out of turn number 4. And putting on a good show is going to be the 14 of Quick Nick Thompson. Here's your leader, the number 40 of Buddy Tennell. And Tennell, half a track, half a course out in front of the rest of the field. Right now, the number 40 of Buddy Tennell out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, getting ready to put the F83 of John McCorvey down a lap. We have 3 laps into the book out of a 5-lap race. And Buddy Tennell heads into turn number 1. Tennell just about to get ready to put the first boat down a lap. It is all Buddy Tennell. Now here comes the number 22 of Frank Milner out of Woodstock, Georgia. Milner running strong, and he is just about to get past. Here comes the number 40 of Tennell. He will get a pass in. We're still panned in on Frank Milner. Milner has a good race going on here as he heads to the stripe. F51 right behind him, and then it's going to be Cantu Cantu. You're seeing Frank Milner and Cantu on the white flag lap now. The last lap, Buddy Tunnell out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, leads the field well over half a track ahead of second place. It is going to be the number 40 of Tunnell as he works his way through the turns 1 and 2, and he is just about ready to pull up on the last place boat. Here comes number 40, Buddy Tunnell, as he will get a good pass going in. Oh, almost hooks it, and he is a neck-and-neck race there with Terry Cantu. It is going to be Tunnell and Cantu as Tunnell puts Cantu down a lap. He heads to the checkered flag, and you're looking at your winner, the number F40 out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. That is going to be Buddy Tunnell. He'll take home the victory. He wins the feature event and round number 1 of the Triple Crown here at Lake Lane in Barnett Park. Your second place boat now getting ready to come across the stripe. And that is going to be the F8 of Peter Kelly. He'll pull in second. Third will be the number 14 of Quick Nick Thompson. Meanwhile, a great race going on. Check out the 51 of Cantu on the screen. Not anymore. We go back to the pits, and it's going to be Cantu out on the top of the ski holds on. He will be the last boat left on the course, the number 51 of Terry Cantu, as he tries to collect up a few of those hard-earned points. Cantu hailing from Madeira Beach, Florida, the last man to exit the track here, and down in the pits right now is your winner. That is the number 40 of Buddy Tunnell out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. As Buddy unstraps himself, gets out off his knees. They race these boats on their knees. They've got what they call a dead man throttle. They grip over on the left side and hold on the steering wheel to the right. And it is a rough ride in these little 125cc hydroplanes. But your winner, Buddy Tunnell, he hails from Lawrenceville, Georgia. As you see down in the pits, Buddy Tunnell, your 125cc hydroplane winner. What a great race. Peter Kelly, the F8, pulled in a second place finish. He hails from Lakeland, Florida. Of course, had an unofficial finish, but I believe that the 14 of Doug Bancourt out of Springfield, Illinois, maybe finished third. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the end of the 125cc hydros, a great time to go to commercial break from Lake Lane and Barnett Park.
Welcome back after that break to AORA Triple Crown Racing on beautiful Lake Lawne in Barnett Park, downtown Orlando, and we have got the SST 120 tunnel boats on the race course. They can accelerate from 0, cranking the motor, to over 100 miles an hour in about 4.5 seconds. Right now, these boats are taking their hot lap, and look, oh, we see that.
Oh!
We've got two over, and that's exactly what we were talking about yesterday. It pulls the air off of the decks of the boat, and that is an unfortunate thing. Right there, we see Brett May standing up in his cockpit, and Terry Rinker looks like is upside down, and he's up.
Red boat's out.
And there's Rinker. He's all right.
Here comes Rinker.
And there's the rescue team on it right now. And you can see how those safety cells have worked, and the flotation rig where the motor is carrying it down and putting the cockpit out of the water. You see the vent on the top of that sponge, and that spills the air. You remember me telling you about that happening? That's exactly what it was. One came in and it just sucked, and he sucked. Then he sucked the other two up. All right, let's go back real quick and talk about that crash. All right, now here we go. We've got Scott Ard to the outside, Rinker up the center, and Brett May on this side. Now, as they become three boats, you're going to see the center boat start to lift. No, it's bringing May. He's pulling the air off of that boat. Now, when he gets in that position, he starts to pull the air off the center boat, and then he pulls it off of the Marshall Marine entry right there, and then, consequently, it's almost like a chain reaction. That's what happens because the deck of the tunnel boat is like the top of an airplane wing, and the air passing over it will create the lift. And when you pull the air off, there is too much lift. It creates a vacuum. Now, we can relate that with my colleague right here, Jerry. You know, we talk about it when they pull the air off of the stock cars, how it puts the car in a spin or,
right.
you know,
Absolutely.
loss of control.
What happens in a stock car, of course, you take the air off the spoiler, the rear deck spoiler of a stock car, and it'll loosen the back end of that stock car up. Apparently exactly the same thing happening here as the air has changed and it just lifted those boats right out of the water. One thing that I learned yesterday in talking to some of these drivers, in this kind of an instance, these boats are designed, the way they're designed is to actually sink the way they have, so that they aren't upside down or inside out. They will sink motor first. They have a built-in flotation system about halfway through the hull of the boat, and that, once the water gets to that point, it'll hold the boat sticking straight up. And then there's air ducts up in front. You see it right there on the screen, that little dark spot up in front of the sponson. That is designed to let the air out of the sponson so that the boat will actually sink some, and that puts the driver in an upright position.
That is true, and of course they're secured into the cockpit by a 5-point restraint system. We've got one driver that is taking the mandatory ride right there. It's a little early to tell who he is, but we will bring that to you. Now, they've got one of the boats that's down, but he got it turned right side up. The damage we have seen on 2 of them was a loss of a sponson on both of them, tip of the front sponson. If you can see there that these other drivers, they stay out of the way, but they sure as heck shut right down, because that is their friend and their colleague and their competitor that's right there in the water.
Well, Bud, one thing I wanted to ask you now, we just talked a few seconds ago, the American flag over here is standing straight out. Does this wind change? The wind is coming out of the east, and it looked like those boats on the east side of those 3 running there were the ones that were most affected. A combination effect maybe of the excess breeze that we have out here, along with the fact they were running 3 wide.
Well, not so much the crosswind, Jerry, as it is, you know, it's a self-contained thing. Here again, like on an asphalt track, you can put 2 cars together or 3 cars. It doesn't matter what the wind's doing. They suddenly dictate. And this is there's 2 very dangerous positions to find yourself in as a driver of a tunnel boat. One of them is to be running up behind, or as you would say in the cars, drafting, because that rooster tail is like a hard wall of water or a road, and the boat will drive right up it and lift off. The other place is what we just saw, 3 boats together.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I think we're going to get another look at this, maybe a different camera angle. And here we go. We've got, you can see the boats now just starting to lift on the outside. The orange boat goes up first, then Rinker comes up second, and they just go end over end. And look at the third one. He dives down and goes straight into the water, nose first. So that was a 3-boat wreck, spectacular. We're going to take another look at that now, coming from a rear angle. And once again, Johnny, what do you see?
Well, you see him being evasive in the 53. That's Brett May, and he had a reason to be evasive. He was afraid that the 10 entry was going to land on his deck, as you saw him turning hard to the left. I don't know if he hit one of the pins down there, but he definitely stuffed the boat, and that created his part of it. The other 2 boats definitely have hull damage as they are floating in the water there. They have transported 1 driver. They're getting the other boats turned over or into a towing position. Right now, as this goes on, there we have the film in the pits, and he's up and walking, but he will take, this is a mandatory thing for safety. You know, you can see how the driver's suited up and a lot of safety equipment on him. And of course, with the restraint system, he stays with the boat, and that helps absorb a tremendous amount of impact. Right now, while they're doing that, let's take a break and recognize some of our sponsors, and then we'll come back to more action, because they're obviously going to have to restart this race.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Lake Lawne and Barnett Park in Orlando, Florida, where the SST classes remain under the red flag after a 3-boat pileup in turn number 3.
Okay, now we're coming up with Terry Rinker's boat. It's sponsored by Rinker Boat Company. It's ironic that their driver's name is Terry Rinker. There's no relation there. That's part of the Black Hawk racing team also. And the man that started and ran Black Hawk for many, many years, Jack Withrow out of St. Petersburg, I know he is very, very concerned and very interested in this boat and how its well-being is. What we see there right now down at the water's edge is that sponson is broken off beyond the breakaway tips. So there is structural damage on that boat. The number 63 entry is now the driver standing up in it, the patrol boat's towing him back, and the boat's starting to come up on top of the water more, so evidently they are able to drain a little bit of water out of it, and that is a tough break for these drivers. And you know, if you were to talk to them, they'll tell you right now, I know what I did, I know I shouldn't have been there, but you know, when you're competing, you're on the ragged edge. And it's just like airplane racing, stock car racing, boat racing, BMX bicycle racing, or, you know, even if you're like Tim Allen on Home Improvement and you have to have a lawnmower race with your neighbor, you're competing. And you kind of throw sometimes a little bit of caution to the wind and try to stick in there into that turn. Well, that's what happens. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, now, Bud, I'm looking, or excuse me, Johnny, I'm looking over there. The red boat that was on the outside, the front of his sponsons are completely, they're wooden, broken off. So apparently we're dealing with fiberglass boats and wood boats, or
definitely, yes. Okay.
So there's wood broken off on that boat right there. Nobody is hurt, is the official word, but like I said, here we got wood is broken off.
Okay.
So now, do they have? Are they going to be able to salvage this?
Oh yeah, right there where his hand is at that rib or bulkhead, if you will, they can cut the wood right there, and they'll continue those stringers that right under his hand right now where he's climbing on the boat. And they will add to those stringers and bring the boat right back out and then go ahead and sheet it once again. And, you know, within a week, that boat can be competing again.
Okay, so he has not just ruined a $20,000 race boat or something. He's going to be able to build that right back up again.
Oh, yes. Oh,
okay.
Yes. Right now, the biggest thing that's hurt on these boats is the driver's pride and, of course, the sponsors and the crew chief's pride, you know, because they work so hard to see their boat perform, and all of a sudden, bam, this happens.
Well, you said something very important right there, that was the most that got hurt, and that speaks very, very highly of this sport in my mind. Being someone who is kind of an outsider looking in, to me, I just saw dead people when I saw those boats coming up, and these drivers get out, and they're climbing all around their boats, they're diving around them. Obviously, they're in good shape now. Like you say, a little shook up. Their pride is damaged or hurt. They're wishing their boat was ready to go back out, much like the stock car racers that I see crawl out of the wrecks. I think in the last few years, Johnny, the improvements in safety, not only in my venue, the stock car racing venue, but in the boat racing venue, obviously have been really tremendous. And I guess APVA and AORA very responsible for a lot of those improvements.
All right, I think we're going to look at a replay right now of this accident. And Jerry, and what you're saying is so true. And now right here, let's talk about two different types of wrecks, which are the most critical or dangerous to the driver, and in years gone by, before the advent of the safety cells, were almost certain injury. One is the blowover. The other is blowing over backwards and staying with the boat and riding it down at high speed. Now there is the Marshall Marine with Scott Art on board goes over. Now he's kind of going back behind them and out. Now you'll see the Rinker boat start to break left, and so what happens, J.R. Saffold does a evasive move with a hard turn left when the boat really wasn't set to turn left. He probably stood on the down button to get the nose down and try to get away from Rinker. He stuffed the boat. Now, what we call stuffing it is when that nose literally goes completely under the water, as you saw. In the olden days, or days before the safety cell and the restraint harness, he would have had that steering wheel impacted into his chest, or at least into his life jacket, at well over 100 miles an hour. The boat's going over, as we said before. then the chance of the driver maybe not getting out, being ejected from the cockpit, enters into it, and he rides the boat down and basically hits the water backwards at over 100 miles an hour. And, you know, the theory used to be thin fiberglass, everything was breakaway, the steering would tear away, and you wanted to get away from the boat. There were a lot of drivers that lost their lives this way. My former team partner from Europe was in a race. I was here, he was in the islands, blew a boat over backwards, very gentle blowover, and he died. He said the way that the accident happened was that it was the way he landed on the water, it literally tore the aorta out of his heart, and of course he drowned in his own blood. Now, he had a safety cell, it was this time of the season, you know, at this time of racing that he was been strapped into the boat, he would still be alive today. So right there, it's hard to say, would they have been killed or would they have lived? I don't know. I do know that they're safe. The reports have just come in to us from the paramedics and the ambulance people that driver they took in there has been checked out. He is fine. The biggest injury he has, as we said before, is his pride. J.R. Saffold took the ride on the towboat. Terry Rinker is in another towboat. And right now, they're trying to get these boats, as you can see, with the ropes on them. The hardest job is to get them turned over because they are literally floating on the flotation gear behind the safety cell that is just under the water. And, of course, the air has come out of both sponsons, and so there's the boat doing anything it could. Now, if you could imagine the driver sitting in there in that position, he wouldn't even get wet. So, you know, the safety cell is just incredible, and you will see that coming more and more into the other classes of boats, the V-bottoms, even the drag boats. These blown fuel hydros have had to go to a safety cell, and I think the advent, even maybe with the hydroplanes that we are seeing here today, will also. Okay.
Well, let's see how we get to this point right now as we drag the Rinker boat out. Here comes the replay once again. The accident has already happened, Arndt, and here they go. They're going in right now, entering in turn number 3, and it's a three-way battle. And you'll see Scott Arndt now, the first boat to blow over, the orange boat of Arndt, and then the Rinker boat picks up, and then the third boat, it's just J.R. Saffold. He doesn't go over, but right now he dives down just like a porpoise. He just hits the water.
Gary, let me interrupt you one moment if I can. Maybe we can get the camera crew to back that up. I just saw something extremely interesting. Did you notice that Saffold's boat was completely off the water and almost did like a nosedive in? I'm wondering if, in fact, he... okay, now let's watch it as we're coming back right here. You see Saffold's boat is off the water there. Now, there's the Rinker boat. I'm wondering if he, in action, did not run over the sponson of Rinker's boat, which lifted him off. See? There he comes right there.
He hit something. It looks like maybe he might have hit something in the back of that boat to knock it down.
That's what I'm wondering. Yes, that's what I'm wondering. Because, see, the boat's pointed down now. The prop is actually out of the water. See, there's a break there in the spray. Now it comes back in, and you see it starting to dive just like a submarine.
That had to be just a tremendous, tremendous impact for Saffold.
Oh, yes, it did. And, you know, even though he's got the restraint harnesses on, I'm sure by tonight in the morning his shoulders will be sore, you know, because that did absorb a 100-mile-an-hour plus impact. Right there is Scott Arndt. He's sponsored by the Marshall Marine out of Lake City, South Carolina. That's Billy Ard Racing. Scott is a young driver, a very careful driver, and very competitive. This is the second time that I have seen him go over in a race boat, and really it was never actual driver error on his own. It was involving something. So I think right now, while they're towing that in and we're getting the race course cleared off, let's take a commercial break, and we'll come back to you in just a minute. Please stay tuned.
I'm here with Scott Arndt, the driver of number 2 boat that was just involved in the spectacular 3-boat pileup. I'm going to let Scott tell you what actually happened in that first turn.
Well, Richard, what happened was when we went down to the turn, it was pretty much 1, 2, 3. I had maybe a half a boat length when we got to the second point. And I really don't know what happened to the boat on the far end side. I think maybe he got into, the 63 got into the 10, and the 10 got into me, and everybody has the impression that it was a suck over, where the boats came together and the air actually sucked us over. But actually all three of us hit, and the impact of 10 into my boat lifted me up just enough to let the wind get under it and take it on over. And it was, you know, it was a terrible accident, but I mean, it's a racing accident, and, you know, nobody's at fault. And, you know, I'm just glad nobody got hurt, nobody got injured. And, you know, as far as the boats go, you know, they can be repaired. They grow more trees every day, so, you know, that's not a problem.
Well, welcome back after that horrendous crash. We've got the course cleared and the drivers are okay, and the remaining boats are ready to start again. And that's sitting on the pole will be the number 91 entry of Max Toller, and then next to him is Gary Pugh in the 06 entry out of Knoxville, Tennessee. David Hooton on board the 14 entry. Jeff Reno with that number 19 entry. Okay, and also there was the number 31 of Tom Kendrick, the 52 of Kenny Bruner, and Stephen Judd with the 40, and the 04 of Gerald Kowalski. Now,
22nd, white flag up, white flag up.
okay, the white flag is up, so that means it's less than 20 seconds till it'll start, and the flag is dropped, and we've got to start, and you see them launch off the starting dock again. Watch them as they come down this front chute. And remember, this is going to be 15 laps of SST 120 racing. Now, where they are right now, that shoreline drops back. And the wind has gusted up just a little bit, so it will create an artificial lift for these boats. These drivers have to compensate for that, and it looks like they did on the hot lap. Leading them down and across is the number 91 entry, Max Toller out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And down off at 2 and down the long back stretch. The green flag will be the next time around, so he just set himself up in a great starting position. As he comes off 4, he looks for the green flag to fly, and this will start their 15 laps. On his hip, off of 4, out of Knoxville, Tennessee, Gary Pugh, the boat maker. The number 40 entry of Stephen Judd out of Sarasota, Florida. The number 19 working to the inside is Jeff Reno from Okeechobee. And on his outside there, I believe, was the number 14 boat of Dave Hoot. Down off 3 and 4, back to your leaders. And what a race we're getting. Right now, there's Jeff Reno working with Hooten on the 4. They take it down into turns 3 and 4. Reno working to the inside. Hooten to the outside. Now he's opened up some good running room. As they go down that front stretch, start to set them up into turns 1 and 2. Okay, right now, here again, we're looking at the number 19 entry, which is Jeff Reno on the backstretch. He's trimmed out an awful lot down that backstretch.
5th place.
He's right now running in 5th place also. Off of 4, and let's go back up to the front straightaway and see what's happening right there. He flies it just a little bit off the turn. Jeff Reno, that is. The lead boat coming off of 4 right now is the number 91 entry, and that is, once again, Max Toller out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's Gary Pugh in the number 6 entry, sitting in a solid 2nd place. He's out of Knoxville, Tennessee, a very knowledgeable boat builder and driver. The number 52, Ken Bruner, out of Linwood, Michigan, is on the move. He is just about. Now we see him in there turning inside him. This is number 91. He's working inside of Bruner in that number 52 entry as they come down this front stretch. So now he has picked off one of the back markers. Down through they go. Now let's go back up here and see what happens as he comes down that long back stretch. He's got a solid command of first place. Number 91 entry, Max Toller out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He's on board the barge racing entry. And he's no stranger to this boat at all. The hump you see on top of the boat right there on the cowling is his radio antenna. And he is definitely in contact with his crew chief back on the starting dock. And coming into the view now is the 40 entry Stephen Judd out of Sarasota Plate. He gets it real high on that front stretch. Whoa, Stephen Judd get up into the air. We're looking at him as he goes through turns 1 and 2. We'll start down that long back stretch into the wind. That's when he has to trim it down to keep that boat on the water. And what a beautiful shot that is of Stephen Judd in his entry out of Sarasota, Florida, into turns 3 and 4. And let's see what's going to happen right now, because the number 14, David Hooten, out of Wauchilla, Florida, is definitely coming into the picture. He's running 5th at this point, Hooten is. Now we're watching Hooten to see if he can make a move on the Stephen Judd entry. As they go down the back chute, you can see the spray from Judd's rooster tail that Hooten's have to eat as he goes down into 3. There's the turn 3 buoy. They set it up now for turn 4. Now let's see who drifts out. Okay, Judd drifts outside. He carries Hooten out a little bit further, and that does buy him some real estate in the distance department. This is really a very hot race right now. The number 91 continues to lead up back over. Right now we got the cameras on the Stephen Judd and David Hooten race going on. Look here, look now. Let's watch him in 3 and 4. There's the pass to the outside. Judd's still inside. He had the short way around the race course, so he's hanging on, but Hooten is really trying that number 4 entry down to turn 1. Let's keep an eye on him and see. Hooten's taking outside Judd. He's around Judd. He dove in hard, and right now as they come off of turn 2, he has closed the door. He's moved over in front of Stephen Judd and has taken solid control of 4th place. The man is on the move. Max Toller continues his lead in the number 91 entry. And there's the 52 going by right now. Here comes your leader off turn 4. Beautiful shot of that. That is when you see the driver inside that cockpit. Just a beautiful camera work on this race course right now. The conditions are good. You see the water break forward on those sponsons, and then it comes off. When you see that water go forward, he is setting that boat going to a turn. As soon as he straightens it up on the button, it lifts the boat off, and there he is. He's off of turn 4 right now. Let's watch that boat. See him pop it up. You can actually see the prop whirling under the boat. These are called surface running propellers, 3 or 4 blades, and part of that propeller is out of the water at all times. We've got a challenge going into 3. Gary Pugh is sitting right now in a very comfortable position. Number 6 entry. Well, we're about to have a challenge down this front of it. All right, we've got number 4 and the 52 entry. Let's watch them as they come off the turn. Here comes Gary Pugh. He's on the move, and he's got it out on that number 19 entry of Jeff Reno. Pugh looking to move up in the position in the department. Down in turn 3, the 51 and the 14. Off at 3 and into 4, and the 14 entry of David Hooten has officially picked off at number 52 of Ken Bruner out of Linwood, Michigan, and working inside him with the white flag out for one more time around is our leader, Max Toller, out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. All boats are in go-fast position right now, so this is a shootout to the end. Toller does seem to have command of it as he takes his entry down into 3, down into 4. He's looking at the back marker, but he'll stay safe, and the checkered flag is flying for the young man in that number 91 entry out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Max Toller. Unofficially, the number 52 out of Linwood, Michigan, Ken Bruner. And Gary Pugh out of Knoxville, Tennessee will bring the final official results in a moment. As we round out the final finish here in the SST 120, 15 laps, run for the roses on beautiful Lake Lawne, Barnett Park, Orlando, Florida, and you are live. As they start to settle down and work their way in, we see the cockpit coming open on the Max Toller entry, and I'm sure we're going to go down and do an interview with them, but this sounds like a real good time to take that very needed commercial break.
Max Tola, who just won this last race, an accident plague race where 3 boats hit the dust. Max, where were you when that action occurred?
I was in 4th place running. I was on 3rd place boat right hip when it happened. So I got a pretty good view of everything that went on. I was lucky I didn't go over myself. I was on the verge of going over myself. So I really lucked up on that deal.
What did you see? What actually happened?
I looked like 3 boats made a giant wing going into that wind tunnel there, and they all went at the same time. You know, maybe a little bit too close, you know, for comfort right there. But sometimes that happens in tunnel boat racing.
I know you don't like to win them this way, but I guess any win's a good win when it goes to the books.
We'll take what we can get. You know, sometimes perseverance is the key, and in this case it is, and we're just happy to be here in 1st place. Sometimes we don't like to win this way, but sometimes that's just how they call.
We have the C stock hydros, and just getting ready to come around and take the green flag, but a problem on the course. The green flag, the red flag is now coming out. We have 2 boats down. We have not, of course, small boats, we're unable to get a number, but from here it looks like both of the drivers are climbing out of their boats and appear to be okay. Well, the 22Z is up. Looks like some damage on the front end of that boat. He is up right now as he picks some pieces out. We're going to have a replay here on this one. We had not yet gone to the green. They were still under the the caution. Okay, the 1Z, that is Richie Wilcox Jr., the 1Z. And what a horrendous wreck going into turn number 1. That is the 22 is actually listed on our sheet as a 1Z. That is Richie Wilcox out of Greensboro that we saw just a moment ago. And it looks like maybe, I believe, I'm going to say the 23, it looked like maybe setting up the 22.
Well, that's the 22Z. That's what we have listed as the number 1Z. You can see the other boat actually went across him. You see his sponson has been cut off. And, of course, this is very similar to the tunnel boat wreck we had, Jerry, a minute ago, in that it launched the other boat. And we saw him go out, you know, when his boat stuff, of course, not being restrained, we saw him do, you know, almost a perfect gainer into the water.
Okay, well, we're going to take another look at this. That's Richie Wilcox, you see right there. Okay, that's Wilcox out in front. What happens here? The wreck had already occurred, and he hits another boat that was in the water, and he actually is ejected right out of his boat on top of the other one. So Wilcox came around into turn number 1. A boat was already dead in the water on the course, and Wilcox just went right into the side of him. Now we see another boat getting around on the outside edge.
Well, Jeff, you know, Jerry, excuse me, Jerry, you know, this is exactly what we were talking about earlier when we had the 3 tunnel boats that went over. They were restrained with a 5-point safety system inside the cell. Now, had that been, well, we just saw it. He stuffed his boat into the side of another boat, and it ejected him over that steering wheel and into the water. Now, if they had been in a cell, he would have ridden that out. Consequently, thank God, all the drivers, you can see right there is where the prop actually went through the sponson. So, thank goodness, everybody's okay on this, apparently. Yeah, it's done some wood damage, and they will live to do battle another day. The racing gods are with us.
Here we have a good shot of the 927 boat of Bruce Burton. Of course, substantial damage to the bottom of that, but the top of it appears to be in pretty good condition, but the bottom of that boat is where the damage is.
Definitely. You know, this is a good shot of the motor. These hydroplanes are running so fast, you know, 80 to 115 miles an hour, and those are little bitty motors in statute compared to the other motors that we see on the big tunnel boats. A lot of these drivers have a tremendous amount of engineering, what do you want to say, intrigue, and they go to work in their machine shop and they literally redesign or whatever the heads on these motors, you know, the cylinders, they can build a bigger motor, you know, using motorcycle pistons. And so right now they're towing him in, and why not? Let's listen to one of our sponsors with some exciting news for you. Welcome back this afternoon to a recently accident-plagued race here in Lake Lawne in beautiful downtown Orlando in Barnett Park. Right now we're having the restart of the C-Stock hydroplanes. You see them on the race course, and of course they'll come around, make a lap, then they'll get the green flag and go for 5 laps. Now this weather has really changed on us. In fact, it is drizzling down in the pit area there to our right, which is approximately between a quarter and a half mile away from us. So, and we had predictions that showers would come in the wind, but these drivers seem to be adjusting all this. We, of course, have omitted the 1Z entry of Rick Wilcon from Greensboro, Florida, and also we have eliminated Bruce Burton from Stone Mountain, Georgia, the 2 drivers that were involved in that previous crash here, called the restart. Right now, they're going to come down and around, and we're going to see what we can pick up on this start. As you see, I'm looking at turn 4, and you see them leaning into the boat so much and balance that weight, they'll shift their bodies forward and back in them. And these, once again, are stocked. The number 80F comes down and leads them through as Steve Stella out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, followed by the 23 entry of Tom Jones Jr. out of Inverness, Florida. Central Florida area for many, many years has been a racing mecca of the small hydroplanes. That's Steve Stella in the number 80. Now let's go back up and watch our number 23F. That's Tom Jones out of Inverness, Florida. As he sets the pace, goes into the turn. Now you see how that's notched down, and he is controlling that throttle with it, what they call the dead man throttle. Should his hand come off of it, the throttle will snap closed and shut the boat off. That's the 80F that comes by right now. Now he goes down into 1 and 2, and there's the pit area. You can see behind us, they say it is drizzling down in that area. We've got several more heats to go, so we're going to show a lot of excitement out here. Right now, the excitement centers around the pilot of that number 23F. That is Tom Jones out of Inverness, Florida, Central Florida area, and he's been at it for a very long time. The 20F now is Don Schlechter from Lake Worth, Florida. And Don also, you can see his hand right there on the throttle, literally outside the boat, so he can hang on, and then he can lean where that cut down is on the side of the boat. He's currently running in 5th place right now, I do believe. Off the turn they come. Schlechter getting a real good rate. You can see that boat bounce. I mean, you know, his body shifts right there. We're looking through the forward windshield, and we see him shift back as he goes down this front straightaway and starts to set up into the turn. Boy, I mean, tell you what, he was close. He was awful close to that banking. You know, these camera guys are doing just such a, I mean, they are magicians. They are bringing the race right out of your TV set and into your living room. The number 80F right now, Steve Stella out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, is your leader. As he comes by, the white flag is out one more time around for the pilot of the number 80F. Tom Jones in the number 23SF out of Inverness, Florida, is your 2nd place boat. And Brian Bernhardt from Rockland, Florida, the number 28F, is your 3rd place boat. Right now, these pilots and drivers are wanting to get around this race course. They're wanting to stay on the water. They're spaced out pretty well. Everybody's established their position. So as we see our leader come down into turn 3, and now he sets up for 4. Look at him lean outside that boat. Look at the ride he's getting. That is beautiful. Talk about balancing that boat with his body. What a job he's doing. And the checkered flag is flying for the number 80F. That is Steve Stella out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And of course, right behind him was the number 23F, Tom Jones out of Inverness, Florida. These drivers are to be commended. The water is really starting to chop up out here, and the wind is gusting. It's not a steady wind, but it's a gusting wind. And that's the most dangerous because you cannot see it. They can see those swells on the water, or the holes, we call them, when there's a deep swell. They can avoid that, but they can't see the gusting. The 72 entry right now, Robert Pontac out of Jensen Beach, Florida. Big Bob, as we call him. I've known him for many years. He was a former tunnel boat driver, retired from it, got back into a Mod VP boat, and said, I got to go racing again. And he found this boat, and he loves it, and he is just such a sportsman. And he's out there running his own race. He has a great time at it, and his boys are very supportive. That's Bob Pontac out of Jensen Beach, Florida.
Well, that was pretty exciting. Johnny, look down there in the pits. There's the there's the driver, Steve Stell, on that ADF boat walking away.
Well, you know, that's a good shot to see really there how small and narrow they really are. Looking at them from behind, because we've been looking at them from the front. And, of course, it looks like we've got an interview to go on with Steve.
Well, right now, the camera shot is Steve. He's down there talking with Richard Devona.
That's our man that has been doing such a fine job all day long in the pit area. In fact, I think he's going to take him home with him for dinner, because he's just becoming so, you know, so close to him, and he's right there on the action. So let's get down to that interview with the winner.
C-modified, C-stock?
C-stock.
I'm here with Steve Stella, who just won this last race. Steve, tell me, how did that race go for you?
In C-stock hydro, real good. Real good. I guess at the start it was real tough. You just had to jump up and down, get the boat float, and get ahead of the other guys. And once you're out in front, you've got mostly clean water, and you'll be able to stay there if you don't make any mistakes.
So you jumped out to the lead and you stayed
right
there?
Away, yeah.
Did you use any particular prop for this course?
I only have one prop for my boat. That's it. One good one, and that's it.
One lucky one.
A lot of guys switch around, and they sometimes make mistakes, and I just got one good prop.
One good prop. Okay, one prop. You heard it here. Back to you with the tower.
Okay, well, we're back live again, and there's a beautiful view. These camera guys just keep amazing me, Jerry. I mean, you know, they seem to, it's almost like, hey, we're going to have a lot of excitement right here, and they zoom in on it. Right now, we're seeing some of the hydros. They're on the little stand. They crank them up, put a little heat in the motor, and there you see two crew members in the back, or three, really, one holding each side of it. And once again, these boats don't start electrically. They wrap a rope around the flywheel, and they pull it.
Well,
and hopefully, you know, it's going to fire the first time.
My understanding with these are 500cc hydroplanes, and that's a pretty good size piece of machinery. Those are big motors in the back of these boats. These guys really do fly down this race course.
Yes, sir, they do. And, of course, you know, they're running with the pipes, the expansion chambers, much like some of the motorcycles do, and they can control those pipes with a handle in the cockpit. Now, what they mean by that is if they shorten that pipe up, that will give them high speed. If they lengthen it, then, of course, they can, you know, get the acceleration.
Okay, well, we're going to take a little break. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Lake Lawne, Florida, the Barnett Park in Orlando. And we are getting ready for the start of the 500cc hydroplane. Their hot lap as they come out of the pits. The F88 is going to be David Hooton, the F5, Jim Avell. The 7 is going to be Tim Warren, the 44 is going to be Jack Grossman, the 62, Robert Marshall, the N66, Steve Vaughn, the N78, Joe Steger, the F144 is Johnny Grossman, and the F222 is Chris Helsting. And it looks like we have...
Jerry, it looked like we had a spin out, just a flat spin down there, and I think he miraculously somehow got it cranked again by himself. That was the number 78 entry.
Well, cranking by themselves is very difficult for these boats. They will hardly start in the water. These guys have to start their motors out of the water, and we are ready for a green flag.
You do notice that the odor coming off the water is a little bit different than what we smelled before. A lot of these boats are on alcohol.
Well, looks like the 122 Chris Helsting right now. There's going to be Helsting on the screen, and he is in a serious race as he heads down. Here's the 152, or the 62 rather, of Peter Voss up front. This is our race leader coming out of turn number 4. That is going to be the N66 of Pete Voss out of Riverhead, New York. And Voss has got that thing cranked up. I notice two expansion chambers out of his, 4 out of some of the others. Here comes the 222, and that is going to be Helsting running in second. Right now, there's a good race. Oh, that gets into the side of it, and we got a wreck down in turn number 3.
No, yes, it is turn number 3.
Looks like we got one boat down in turn 3, and yet he is upright, so he's got his hands up. And that is the number 78 of Joe Steger out of Tampa, Florida.
You know, Jerry, why that boat didn't go over, I don't know. He was totally sideways, and that was just very fortunate. And, of course, he did exactly what he's supposed to do. You know, he put his hands up, he signaled to everybody that he was okay. There he is. It looks like he has lost a piece of his cowling down there right now.
Well, Johnny, we are on the white flag lap, and right now all he needs to do is try and stay out of the way of these other boats. And we are going to a checkered flag this time around. Of course, everyone else still racing. The white flag is out as the field comes by. The next time around, here comes your winner.
Right there, the N66.
Right there is your winner, the N66. The white flag remains out.
Okay, evidently they miscounted the laps, and that should have been the checkered flag. I noticed, Jerry, what we saw floating down there, apparently it's cowling off of the boat that's coming around now, right here. This F-62, which is Robert Marshall out of Palm City, Florida. I believe he was right beside the boat that spun, and the pressure of the water literally lifted his cowling off.
There's your winner, the N66. That is going to be Pete Voss. He'll take it to the checker. And the F-222, Chris Helsing, holds on to that second position as they head down into the pits. Well, these 500cc hydroplanes are unbelievable fast. These guys, they sound like a swarm of killer bees. They're still finishing up. The ones on the track are finishing up their laps, getting the last of their points. They see the cowling missing from that 62 boat. That is Robert Marshall out of Palm City, as you mentioned earlier. You saw that cowling out there on the course, and your last boat now to finish it up will take it in, and down in the pits is going to be the N66 Voss out of Riverhead, New York, and they helped Voss get out of his boat. Of course, these boats are a little bit larger than the other 3 classes of hydroplanes. The other 3 classes, these guys are sitting on their knees. This is a class where the boat is large enough that these guys are actually able to sit down and sit upright. And they pick these boats up. You see them right now, the 78 of Joe Steger sitting on the race course now. And Steger has gotten his cowling back, and he's down there working on his boat right now, but he will have to have a tow in. I don't believe he's going to be able to get this boat to start once it's in the water.
I think you're right, Jerry. In fact, the patrol boat's on his way down there now, and yes, we see Joe going to the front of his boat. 2 reasons. One, when he walked back to the back of it, he put on a lot of water in the boat, you know, with the transom underwater, so he's balancing it, and he's also up there ready to receive the tow rope and hook it around in the boat eye underneath it.
Well, he is a very lucky man, Johnny, from what I can tell, because he could have had a real bad spill. Right now, as the cameraman's showing you a close-up, he's got a little bit of, he hit his right elbow, and a little bit of blood coming out there, but that...
I don't think he realizes that now.
Right now, I'm sure he doesn't. He's looking at his boat and saying, well, I guess it's not as bad as it could be, but I sure am disgusted. Just sitting there looking ready to deck. He had a great run going before he looped it around.
Oh, okay. Jerry, I see they've picked up that cowling, and right now I think we're ready to go down to the pit and let Richard Devone interview our winner of that heat after a very exciting finish.
I'm here in the winner's circle with Pete Voss, the winner of the 500 class hydro, and it's been pretty much the same story here. Whoever gets out to the front seems to win these races today. Why don't you tell us what happened today, Pete?
Well, I just got a good crew that works with me, and we just do some on-starts type thing before. We do it back when we boat race back home again, so we're familiar with doing it. So we got the setup to get off the beach, and we're not the fastest, but we get set off the beach, and that's the name of the game here.
Did you use any particular kind of prop today for this course?
A little 5-blade wheel I have. I run a flat-bottom boat called a runabout, and I use that propeller on my runabout all the time. So I just took it off and put it on a hydro because I just need a lot of acceleration, and it handles real well in rough water. And it does get rough out there.
Looks like you've been doing this for a couple of years.
Yeah, about 40.
40.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a veteran with us and got a win today. Back to you guys in the tower. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Jerry, you know, once again, this is a beautiful view of the lake, and really it's a little bit deceiving as you look out across there because the water looks just so beautiful. Then again, when you look at this picture of the boat right here under tow, and you're seeing the little bitty roll, we call them little bitty rollers, but look at them, they almost are breaking over the nose of the boat. So this definitely becomes a driver situation where you drive with your head, you know, and not necessarily full throttle. And I think the guys have done just a wonderful job today. There have been some mishaps. Thank the good Lord, there has been no one that has been injured seriously. And so we're going to continue on here as we are seeing the number 78 go in. Let's take a commercial break, and we'll be right back with more action in Barnett Park on Lake Lawne. Welcome back this afternoon to a very, very exciting conclusion to the first round of the Triple Crown. On behalf of Jerry Harvey and our third member of the crew down in the pits, Dick DeVono, we have just really enjoyed it. It's been exciting. These cameramen have done such a super job. Starting on the pole for this final heat of the Mod U's is John Bishop Jr. Right next to him is number 57 of Ben Robertson. The 92 of Bruce Washburn, and then the father of John is the number 99, Jack Bishop. And of course, the number 14, David Hooton, he's a threat. Neil Haraway out of Brunswick, Georgia, in the number 67. The 19, Jeff Reno out of Okeechobee, Florida, and Brett May in the number 36 out of Miami, Florida. What a show this promises to be. And right now, we're looking down at the pit area to get one of the boats in there. That's the number 14, David Hooton from Wauchula, Florida. There's the number 67. That is Neil Haraway out of Ellis Marine Stables up in Brunswick, Georgia. The AMS 66, Johnny Bishop Jr. from Smiling Jack's High Performance Marine. There's the Brett, the V8. You've heard of it? There it is, the V8 Johnson. Of course, the EFX entry, the number 36, Brett May out of Miami, Florida. And he's a super pilot ready to do battle here. 15 laps of Mod U racing. Ladies and gentlemen, I can guarantee you they're going to rattle the waves and put thunder on the water for 15 very exciting laps around this race course, and it's not going to take long, Jerry.
Well, I tell you what, you're absolutely right, Johnny. We watched these guys earlier this morning. They postponed last night's qualifying for this class. In fact, it was maybe just a little bit later than it is now. They opted to wait till this morning. We held off. We had 2 heats of qualifying laps. And they set the field. We're ready for the feature event. 15 laps of unlimited horsepower in these machines. And of course, as you said, that 57 machine, the big V8 Johnson, this guy is an absolute threat. I watched him today. It's unbelievable how much power is generated out of that big V8 Johnson.
That is true, but then again, he's giving away some weight, so these, I look for the 66 and the 99 to be right up there with him. And this is just going to be anybody's race all the way through. He sets the boat, drops it down to about 110, 111, brings it around. When they hook these boats up, they will turn on a dime and give you 9 cents change, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very quick, very, very agile. It's a gentle ride for the driver. You do not horse these boats. You massage them around the race course with your trim switches. This is just a battle that is unexpected. That number 92 entry is Bruce Washburn out of Tennessee. He does his tuning work over at Wizard Marine in Lakeland, Florida. And they have done the right job on that. He gets one heck of a run for his money. Look at him in the 3. The brute horsepower of Robertson's V8 does show and pull off of the turns a little bit ahead of the number 92 right there, Bruce Washburn. But Bruce is running the short way around the race course. Most of the fans. Robertson is staying outside. Maybe he elects to stay out there with these water conditions and keep those RPMs up. I don't know at this point. We'll see if his strategy pays off in the end. I want to bring a point to you in just a moment, but you do see that hook up on top. 5 laps into this, you see that hook on top. Should they have to lift that boat and there was no way to hook it up by pieces, they can pick that boat up that way. Now, right now, you will see a dot on the side of the boat, or usually it's got an orange circle around it. That is a kill switch. Should the boat go down and be right side up, they can reach the rescue people can reach over and pull that switch. Ben Robertson continues his blistering pace with the V8, but he's not walking away from the number 92 of Bruce Washburn at all. He's staying there. Look how much rougher this water has got. Now there they are. Down into 3. Now it's side to side. Look at Washburn move. Washburn is on the inside of it. He's going around the race, but he's running up on the backside of David Hooten. And that could be a blocking factor. Hooten takes it in. I beg your pardon. Washburn takes it in real close. Benny Robinson threads the needle right there between Hooten and Washburn and regains it. Go down then to turn 1. Let's keep our eyes on him right there through turn 1. Robertson's to the outside. Down this, yeah, there you go, into 3 once again. Like I say, it's almost going 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's how quick these boats at 130 miles an hour are turning this race course. Down the front chute, the clock shows Robinson at 133 miles an hour on that path. He sets his boat, drops it down to about 110, 111, brings it around. When they hook these boats up, they will turn on a dime, 9-cent change, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very quick, very, very agile. It's a gentle ride as a driver. You do not horse these boats. You massage them around the race course with your trim switches. This is just a battle that is unexpected. That number 92 entry is Bruce Washburn out of Hickson, Tennessee. He does the tuning work over at Wizard Marine in Lakeland, Florida. And they have done the right job on that boat because he has given that V8 one heck of a run for his money. Look at him into 3. The brute horsepower of Robertson's V8 does show and pull off the turns a little bit ahead of the number 92 right there, Bruce Washburn. So Bruce is running the short way around this race course, puts to the pins. Robertson is staying outside. It may be he elects to stay out there with these water conditions and keep those RPMs up. I don't know at this point. We'll see if his strategy pays off in the end. Here they come again. They have threaded the needle once again. Here is another back marker. That is number 67, Neil Haraway. And Robertson's to the outside, Washburn to the inside. The 99 has gone dead in the water. No, he hasn't. I'm going to take that back. That's Jack Bishop. Air Management Systems out of Smiling Jack's Marine. And he is back on the pace. There's Johnny Bishop, number 66 entry. As he just returned 1 and 2. There's that orange circle I told you, just behind the shield of the cockpit. That highlights where the kill switch is and will disconnect every bit of power in the boat, should it be necessary. Back leaders off the 4. I beg your pardon, off of 2 is, once again, Benny Robertson out of Summerville, South Carolina. But the man that's given it all he can handle and all he wants out of Hickson, Tennessee, Mr. Bruce Washburn. A little bit different configuration on the canopy on his boat. He has a windshield, but it's open over his head, as on Washburn's boat. Right now, we've got, I believe, about 4 laps to go in this race, and we're back focused on that boat. There's Robertson. You can see the intensity in his eyes as they zoom in on him as he comes off the turn and down this straightaway. The white flag is out for man out of Summerville, South Carolina. Let's watch what happens as these two have done battle all 15 laps of this race. Roberts gets a little bit of an opening there, and he's able to gain about 10 boat lengths on Bruce Washburn. He's got a boat going dead in the turn as Brett May, but he's around him. And here he comes down, ladies and gentlemen, out of Summerville, South Carolina, the turboprop entry, number 57, Robertson. On the tip, the number 92, Bruce Washburn, out of Hickson, Tennessee, with the second. And I believe it's the number 67. Well, that is the 67. That's 4th. Now there's, you see Brett May with his cockpit open. He's sitting down there very dejected, and what a tough break for that driver.
Okay, well, we're going to head down to Richard DeVona in the pits, and we'll be back later.
I'm in the winner's circle with Ben Robinson. What a way to finish up a day of racing. These muscle boats really got entangled in the battle of first and second, and then prevailed on his boat. How did that boat run today for you, Ben?
That boat runs extremely well. That's ironically one of the original F1 boats we raced back in the 80s, and we still run it at these events. We run the nationals with it, and that boat still holds the current world record, as well as being last year's national champions. But we were getting ready this weekend with the 3-liter format for '97 for the F1 races to run against the 2.5 Mercuries and the 2-liter Mercuries. But we have a 150-pound disadvantage because of the type boat that we have. But that's the boat is tremendous. It's a Johnson V8 outboard and turbo propellers, build the props, and just have a good time running that boat. It's a lot of fun.
I understand you hold some national records, Ben. Could you tell us what those are?
Yes, I did. In fact, we set a record with that boat last year at 95 miles an hour on a course just like this. That's 95 miles an hour average speed for 5 laps, which doesn't sound fast, but it is when you consider your corner speeds are so high. We also set 2 national championships for that boat, 95 and 96. And we set a record back in the 80s with a boat very similar to that at 141 on a mile-and-a-quarter race course, which there we can stretch the boat out. Those boats are capable of running 155, 60 miles an hour.
Well, I think you're going to be seeing a lot from Ben Robinson in the future, folks, so keep your eyes on him, and wish you a lot of luck, Ben.
Thank you. We enjoyed it. And, great place to have races. Orlando has got a lot to offer here.
Great. Well, we're glad you had a good time here, and we're glad you got the win.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Back to the tower.
Okay, Dick, we appreciate that, and I know it's been a thrill for you as well as it has myself and my partner up here, Jerry Harvey. And, you know, want to take a second. Of course, anytime you deal with Speed Vision, they bring the action live and right out of your set and into your living room. You know, Bud Gann and the American Outboard Racing Association that sponsored this race is under the sanction of the American Powerboat Association, APBA. It's excitement anywhere on the race course, and today we certainly had our share of it. The wind is gusting just a little bit, and the rain has held off, so we've been blessed in that. What a beautiful sight. These cameramen, my hat goes off to them. They certainly have made our job a lot easier bringing this to you. And we hope in some small way that we have been able to put just a little bit more enjoyment into your weekend. In behalf of the whole Triple Crown Series, we'll see you again in the Winner's Circle in August and again in October. So stay tuned. And on behalf of Jerry Harvey and Dick DeBruno, this is Johnny Peake saying we will see you next time on Speed Vision at the Winner's Circle.